Hi everyone, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Maria Lee and I'm a former journalist turned analyst. I've been tracking my 90-piece capsule wardrobe more or less for the past 8 years, mostly through photography and more recently through data. I decided to do this because I was interested in analyzing real-world capsule wardrobe data, but obviously had some challenges finding a data set that would work. And I was inspired to do this from Terrence Boone from Google, who did a really interesting article a few years ago tracking fashion trends through Google searches. I also thought it would be interesting to tell the story of my wardrobe in a different medium aside from photography. So to get started, we'll talk about how I built and maintain an inventory of my wardrobe data. Alright, so what you'll see on the screen right now is my current wardrobe inventory. So as you can see, I just use Google Sheets. It's basically a simple Excel sheet where I keep everything. So code, this is a unique code that I create for each piece. So it has its own unique identifier, and this is going to be really important when we get into analyzing our data. I have a status column that includes if the piece is still active in my wardrobe, if it's been retired, meaning it's been donated, thrown away, whatever, or if it's a very special piece that's not something that I would typically consider to be in my wardrobe, like my wedding dress, for example. For type, this includes the highest level category of the type of the piece, if it's clothing, accessories, or shoes. Category is one level below that, giving a little bit more detail, and subcategory, as you can see, is even more specific. For name, that's the actual name of the piece. Acquired channel is where I got the piece. If I bought it in person in a store, online, if it was a gift, stuff like that. Origin country is where it was made. I have origin city. Obviously, that's really difficult to get. Even if you reach out to manufacturers or even if you reach out to brands to find out that information, most of them don't know. So I only include that if it's possible, obviously. Acquired reason, I will just say why I got that piece. If it was because it was an essential part of my wardrobe, if I thought it was cute, if it was on sale, if it was a gift. Color primary, that's the primary color of the piece. The color type, so that's very specific to a capsule wardrobe. Is it one of my base colors? Is it an accent color? I don't really do anything right now with material, but I still gather that information. Again, some of these columns we could probably weed out. Retired reason, if I end up retiring a piece, why and what channel. If the piece is on my website, I'll include the link. The date that pieces are repaired, the date that pieces were acquired and retired, and then right here is just simple calculations on how long they lasted for years, months, and days. And then down here it gets a little bit more interesting. I will include how much the piece retailed for, how much I actually paid, tax, shipping, if I get something tailored, how much that costs. If I get something dry cleaned, how much it would cost, and then the total cost takes all those columns into account, how much it was in total. And then every quarter I do an analysis of my whole wardrobe for all active pieces. So I started my wardrobe inventory almost 3 years ago, and then at the beginning of this year is when I started tracking what I wear daily. So the way that I do this is through a Google form. So what I did is it's basically a survey. I input the date and the time that I'm wearing an outfit or that I put it together. And then I have categories for all of my tops. I think we have, pants and skirts, outerwear, shoes, dresses, and accessories. And again, this is really intense, but I really just wanted to make it as easy for myself as possible. And since I've been documenting my wardrobe for so long, I have real pictures of almost every piece. And if I don't have pictures of pieces, I will just find a picture online that looks really similar to the piece, so that way it's very easy to complete. And then I include the function of the outfit. Is it an everyday outfit, which basically means weekend or after work? Sport, which basically just means gym. I don't do any sports, I just go to a gym. Or loungewear. Then I also include some other like matrix measures that I think would be interesting to analyze. So I will complete this for every outfit. So for example, let's say I go to work and then the gym, I would complete 2 survey responses for each of those occasions. All right, one thing that I forgot to mention is with the Google form, each piece does include the code. So remember at the very beginning when we talked about having an inventory, each piece has a unique code. When we select it in the form, that's how we know which piece we're talking about. So right here is my data cleaned. So it's taken from the Google form and it's put in a way that we can actually do some analysis on it. All right, so what do I mean when I say I need to clean my wardrobe data? So this is what the data looks like when I take it directly from the Google form. You'll see that we have our timestamp, the date that we inputted, the time, and you'll see that each of the items that I chose from the categories are all in one line. And that's because this is a survey, so each response is considered a row in the data. Well, that actually makes it really difficult for us to analyze because we want to be able to look at the item codes associated as their own line associated with the timestamp. And this is just going to make analyzing the data much easier. And so what we actually need to do is transform this data so each of these codes is associated with the timestamp and the date and time. So that way, if we wanted to query on how many times have we worn this Aritzia crop top, we're able to see it as an independent row in the data. So if that doesn't make a lot of sense, I'll show you what the data looks like cleaned right now. So right here is where we've cleaned our data. So this is just a new Google sheet that I've created. I call it Wardrobe Data Clean. And you'll see that each piece that I've worn, each code is its own line, and it is associated with the timestamp and the date and time that it was worn. And this gives us the flexibility to do all the types of analysis that we would want to do. You might be wondering, where's the other data that we've tracked in the survey, like the function of the outfit, my desire to go shopping, all that stuff. I consider that data to be more like a matrix type of data because we're talking about it for the outfit as a whole, where this data is just looking at our consolidated pieces. So I actually have that as a different sheet in my wardrobe data cleaned data set. So you'll see it has the same timestamp and date and time of all of the pieces, but we've included that matrix type data like the function, desire to go shopping, sentiment, and things like that. And so when we get into how to visualize the data in a minute, you'll see that we can actually join all 3 of these data sets, the inventory, the consolidated pieces of all the items that I wore, and that matrix data. And we're able to do that by joining it on a standardized key, which you'll see in a minute. Okay, so now that we have an inventory of our data, some daily tracking, including the pieces that were worn and our matrix information about our outfits, we are ready to start to visualize our data and do some analysis on it. So you can do this with a lot of different programs. Like I said earlier, if you're just kind of curious at a high level, you can use some of the built-in visualizations with Google Forms or whatever program you're using to track your data. If you're doing it completely in Excel, you can do a lot of basic summary visualizations with that. If you know Python or R, those are great programming languages to use with data. There's a lot of really good libraries like Seaborn in Python that are great for visualizations. It is a business intelligence tool. Anyone can actually download it using Tableau Public. They have Tableau Professional for enterprises, but Tableau Public is free. So if you're new to data or if you are really interested in like business intelligence and stuff, I would highly recommend that you download Tableau Public. And there's a bunch of resources online to learn it. I actually learned it strictly from like YouTube, but you can take classes if you like. Anyways, so this is Tableau Public. So I'll show you how I join my data together since I told you that we can do it on specific keys. So everything that we've done is just been collecting the data in Excel So that's how we will be collecting it. And I'm just going to go ahead and bring my data sets in. I'll skip ahead to where I have it because I am not so organized with my files. Okay, so you'll see right now I have my 2 Excel files. One is the inventory and one is the daily tracker. So I'm just gonna pull in my inventory sheet. So I think that file actually had a few sheets, but you can see here's all of our data that we saw in Excel. And next what we're gonna do is we're gonna join that data set with our consolidated pieces. So if I, for example, wanted to see how many times I've worn my nude work heels, I can join it and get all the information about that piece, how much it costs, when I bought it, how much it costs to repair it, things like that, and how many times I've worn it. So this is my consolidated pieces data sheet, and I'm just going to do a simple join on code. So that means since we use that consistent code for each of those pieces, the data is going to basically join together. All right, so next I'm going to add my matrix data to our data set. And you might be wondering, well, how will we join these 2 data sets because we can't join it on code. And the way that I will join these data sets is by timestamp. Since the timestamp is unique for each time I submit a survey response, we can join the pieces in the matrix together. The cool thing about Tableau is that it's pretty intelligent, and if you use like the same field names, it will automatically join it for you, but if you're using something a little bit more complicated, it might not. All right, and now we're able to do some interesting analysis, just at a really basic level. So again, let's say we wanted to see how many times I'd worn my work heels. We can just search for the name, and I just happen to know what the code is because it's not that. And now we can just do a quick count on how many times I've worn them right here. So these are all the dates that I've worn these shoes this year. I'm going to do a count distinct because so it looks like I've worn them 35 times this year, and we can do any kind of analysis that we want. I won't spend too much time on this because there's a lot of tutorials on Tableau, but I will show on YouTube or everywhere else about Tableau if you're really interested in learning how to do that. So I'll just show you some visualizations that I've done in the past and ones I'm thinking about doing. So here's one I did about where my capsule wardrobe was made. So this visualization, I really only needed to use my inventory data set on it because I'm just looking at the piece, a count of my pieces, and the origin country. And so the way that I visualized this was using little people icons because I really wanted to make the commentary, or I guess just reinforce that they're actual people who are making our clothes, where I think we're so far removed from how our clothing is made that I wanted to make that the focus, that these are actual people who are making our pieces, and the size of the people indicates how many pieces I have from that country. So, obviously you can see like China, I have the most pieces from, 36 items, versus smaller areas like Brazil, I have 1 piece. And then I've also included some other descriptive information like the total cost of all my pieces from there and the percentage of my wardrobe that is from that country. So 50% of my wardrobe is from China versus the United States, 17%. Alright, so in addition to doing more artistic data visualizations, I also like using Tableau because you can create really interactive dashboards to gain insights about your data. So a dashboard that I did recently is called the cost per wear dashboard, and basically what it's able to do is I'm able to just choose a piece from my wardrobe and see how many times that I've worn it this year, the total cost of the piece, and the cost per wear, as well as a visual representation of when I've worn it. So let me try to find something that I've worn a lot this year. So I guess just to keep with the theme, let's choose those Let's choose those work heels that I wear all the time. What are those called? Oh, Everyday Pump. So these are some, obviously some expensive shoes that I bought earlier this year. They're just a really simple nude heel that I wear to work. They were really expensive, so I wanted to see, how often am I wearing these really expensive pieces? What's my cost per wear, and when am I wearing them? Because that's really interesting for more seasonal type pieces. So you can see the Everyday Pump. It's a heel, it's a kitten heel, it's from Stuart Weitzman. I've worn it 33 times this year. I probably bought it in May. As we can see, that's when I started wearing this. It originally cost $405, probably including tax, I'm assuming. And the cost per wear is $12.30 so far. And then we can just see, when I've worn it. Looks like I haven't worn it too much in the late summer, early fall yet. And that's just kind of a fun visualization or dashboard to play around with. But I also have other ones that I'm working on. For example, like what are my top 10 most worn pieces, my least worn pieces. There's a lot that you can do. And now that I've been tracking what I wear for over 6 months, almost a full year at this point, now I'm able to start doing some of those more interesting projects, whereas before, when I only kept my inventory, there's really only so much that I could do at that point. So that's kind of where I am at this point. Alright, so that is a very quick and high-level overview of how I track my wardrobe through data and using Tableau. Just as a reminder, if you're interested in this project, I do post my new visualizations on my website, goldzipperr.squarespace.com, in the blog and the wardrobe science section right here. So if you're interested in this, please feel free to follow me on social media or on my website to see the latest. And as I do post visualizations, I'll typically include a small write-up just with what I think of it, some small insights and things like that. So thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope that you found some value of it or some value from it. If you're interested in doing this, I would highly encourage you to try it. It is a little bit of work at the beginning to set up the inventory and the tracker, but maintaining it as you go along is really not that difficult. It takes me less than a minute to complete the survey every day, and the insights that I've gained from it have just been really interesting, which I could probably do a whole other video just talking about what I've learned so far from tracking my wardrobe data. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.